All right, thank you guys for coming to another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. I believe this is episode 86 because we skipped one in the lineup, but I think we skipped episode 82 or 84. I'm not sure which one we skipped over. We skipped a number, but it's 86, and that's the story we're gonna stick to. So we're back with another episode, and this week we are going to talk about one of the most evil people without an army, who is not a robot. This woman is just damn evil. She didn't have a bad childhood or nothing. She's just dead ass wrong. Her name is Pamela Hupp, and we're going to tell you why she is the most evil person on the planet. Like, it's not even funny. It actually is kind of funny and ironic. Not funny, haha, but funny anyway. We're going to talk about that. I do have to throw this in there. We got to get to the story real quick, but I do have to throw this in there. Okay, so a while ago, we talked about the elephant killing a woman in India, coming back to kill the woman in India. Well, recently, there was an elephant. This guy, this South African guy, he's a famous, I guess, in that arena, game hunter. And he was hunting elephants in South Africa. And elephants 3, humans 0 at this point. Because the elephant that he shot and killed fell on top of him and killed him. So now they both dead. So again, elephants 3, humans 0.
Wow.
And the reason why I say elephants 3, humans 0, because again, there was another, I believe it had to be in Africa. These people were eating breakfast or whatever at one of those restaurants where the animals just kind of walk around. Well, the elephant must have had a beef with somebody who looked like somebody that was sitting at the table, because the elephant just tipped the table over, flipped it over.
That used to be his living room. That was the elephant's living room, and they built that daggone bed and breakfast right in it.
Mm-hmm. He's like, that's where my mama's favorite chair used to be, right over there. And her console TV used to sit right there. She would sit in that chair and watch TV all Saturday morning. And he was mad. Flipped the table over. Right. I don't know if anybody got killed, but still, the animals are out there. And I just thought it was real ironic that man shot the elephant that wasn't bothering him.
That is so ironic.
And he died.
The elephant fell on top of shit. Should have stayed minding your business.
And I promise you, we're going to hear another story that if any of those hunters or guides or anything that was with him that day come back to that spot, the other elephants are going to remember, and it's going to be all bad. So watch out for that story. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Pamela.
Iconic.
Pamela Hupp, I believe this year or late last year, NBC did a movie called This Thing About Pam, starring Renee Zellweger as Pamela Hupp. If you watch Snapped, she was featured on the show Snapped. That's on Oxygen, I believe, so you can catch episodes of Snapped. And there's like a ton of YouTube videos from other news agencies talking about Pamela Hupp. And the reason why they're talking about Pamela is because, like I said, she has to be one of the most evil people, who is not a dictator, a robot, who doesn't have any special powers, who is not an oligarch or super wealthy. Like, her evilness is up there on a level. She's an evil genius. Y'all.
Yes, that would be great. I kind of associated her with the lady from the documentary for Evil Genius. That's kind of where
the lady that had the man blown up with the in the bank.
That's kind of where I put her. I put her right there.
I think she was just greedy.
But her greed made her do things that were simply evil and ingenious in the way that she set people up. Because I was even asking Brandy, and we'll get to this part, but I was even asking Brandy how she got one of her victims. Because if you're just reading an article about one of her victims, who was Louis Gumpenberger, I was like, how did he even, how was he even in her orbit? And the way that she set it up is just wow. So
a setup for another setup. I literally was like, so she set it up for the other setup to work in her favor. This poor man.
Everything she did was just, jaw dropping. Like,
okay.
so this all this story happens in Missouri, so in the Midwest, and Pamela seems to be a regular Midwestern woman. Okay,
Not very attractive.
That's Pamela behind Brandy, one of her arrest photos. But a regular, woman. She's a former insurance agent. And she had some, record, just normal white bread, vanilla, middle of America type person. But what was happening in Pamela's head puts her. Pamela basically orchestrated murders, allegedly, because she hasn't been convicted in all of them, allegedly orchestrated murders for insurance purposes. Now, this is one of the oldest things that we know about, is, and killing people for insurance money. And most of the time, this happens to people that you're close to, like family member, mom, dad, husband, or whatever. But she also involved her other intimates, people that she deliberately made friends with in order to manipulate them and get money. And this is why we're talking about Pam, because some of her other murders came out later, but the biggest thing that she was implicated in was the murder or the death of Betsy Faria, who had cancer. And at the time of her death, which was murder, she understood that her treatments were not working and that she would, she was terminal. And she was making plans for her family to be taken care of. And here comes Pam. So this story really touched Brandy because Brandy just hates Pam. Brandy hates like, so for the last week or so, Brandy has been like calling me, telling me all this stuff about Pam. So what is Pam's origin story, Brand?
What's her what?
Her origin story. What's her
villain
origin story?
An origin. She's regular wench. She grew up. She didn't have really anything crazy in her background. I checked. She was married twice. She was divorced from her first husband by the time she met Betsy. She has 2 children, and she's just an everyday wench.
What happened to her? What happened to turn her into an evil wench?
I don't know. This poor man, Russ, Betsy's husband. Story starts out that Pam was really buddying up to Betsy. Looking at it, it's kind of like, was she her friend and then she turned bad or what? Because it was like she was seeing Betsy every day. Betsy found out again that her cancer was pretty bad, and she had went for a treatment, and her husband, which he had usually a standing appointment with his boys, usually would pick Betsy up from her treatment, and her mother would pick her up, and then he would come pick her up from the mother's house. But for whatever reason, that day, Pam just really was like, no, I'll pick up Betsy. And so, she had been hanging tight with Pam, so it wasn't no big deal. Pam was like a friend of the family. So Pam picks up Betsy and takes her home. Sometime later, Russ comes home from visiting with his friends and finds Betsy on the floor with a knife sticking out of her neck. Now, the background on Betsy was Betsy had some mental health issues. She had threatened suicide or had suicidal thoughts many times before this. So when Russ sees her with a knife sticking out of her neck, and the fact that she did have cancer and it wasn't looking good, his mind all goes to automatically that she did it. She finally did it. He calls 911. He's crying. The lady can't really understand him. He's like, she did it. She killed herself. So the police come to the house and they see Betsy's on the ground. She does have a knife in her neck, but she also has 56 total stab wounds. So now this goes from a possible suicide to literally this is
Homicide.
foul play, a murder.
Right.
So
Personal murder at that.
what'd you say?
I said when they have those type of stab wounds, it's personal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Most of the
Absolutely.
time, it's attached to a personal person when
Yeah.
it's beyond a couple of stab wounds.
Yeah, it's like a rage because it's
Yeah.
unnecessary. Like, any one of those wounds could have killed Betsy. I mean, with 56, I mean, she just,
You just
it's
evil.
it's ridiculous amount. And so, like Brandon said, and then you can continue. Was Pam her friend, or like was there jealousy involved? Like, you have to like think like what type of relationship did she have with Betsy? Later on it comes, they ask her the question or they allude to, was this a lesbian relationship? Were you guys lovers? Because they were really, really close. Like it's kind of like one of those friends that comes out of nowhere. Like they didn't grow up together. They weren't in church together. They didn't do PTA. They weren't at bake sales together. It's just all of a sudden Pam was in her life. And then Pam was in everybody's life. And she's in all aspects of Betsy's life. I mean, everything. Like Brandy said, the day of her death, Pam wasn't supposed to be at the chemo center. Her husband was. Pam is like, no, I'll be there. And even the staff at the center where she was getting her chemo treatment were like, why is she here? Why does she need to be in the room with you? Like, she was hovering over Betsy that day. It was like,
But this wasn't really weird because Pam and Betsy saw or talked to each other every day. It was like, and she was just that friend that was always there. Like, she was always there. Like, if
but
you
she
had a
was
best
really
friend,
pushy though. Like, she was like
well,
almost intrusive in a way.
I'm
Like,
pretty sure she was.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But again, Betsy might have been like, in a situation, I'm sick, and she's there. She's, being a friend. And there was, they said that were actually raising money for another woman who had cancer. Supposedly, this was going to be her last Christmas, and they were unbeknownst to the lady. And Betsy was very happy to be raising money for this lady because this woman was dealing with the same thing she was dealing with, and it kind of got her mind off of what she was going through. And her and Pam were raising money for this other person. We'll find out later that woman never got the money, of course. But I mean, her and Pam were just always together. And going back to Russ, if you listen to the 911 call, Russ is distraught. Like it doesn't sound like it's any kind like he's playing, or this man really is just upset. I mean, you just imagine coming in and seeing your spouse or your loved one laying on the ground with a knife sticking out the side of their neck. Just imagine that. So, of course, they tried to look at the husband. They, check out his story. He was with his friends and all these things. This prosecutor, we find out what's her name is Leah. What, Brand?
Now it's Leah Chain. It was Leah Askey, but since then her name has become Leah Cheney.
She was a brand new lawyer. Period. Fresh out of
barely out of law.
Barely out of there.
When she ran for county prosecutor. I mean, like when I say barely out of law school, she probably didn't even have her certificate in the mail yet. She ran for county prosecutor against someone who had been the county prosecutor for like 20 years. She probably did it on a fluke because she said that she didn't even expect to win. She wins the seat, and within less than a year, this case is handed to her and lands in her lap. And by the way that she handles this case, she didn't know what the hell she was doing.
I would say you could tell she was definitely an amateur.
She was so out of her league with this case. When they arrested Russell Faria, they were sure that he did it. Brandy's, like Brandy said, if you listen to the 911 tapes, he is very distraught. He listens to the 911 operator, but he's clearly disturbed. But they play it as he's real unemotional. He keeps telling the same story.
Like,
but
what?
typically, someone who's telling the truth is pretty consistent. Give or take a few details, they're pretty consistent. There's no more ways. How many ways can I tell you the truth? It is what it is. Even in court, they say that he was unemotional. You can't win in something like that. If he's too emotional, then they say he's faking. If he's unemotional, then he did it.
And then I'm like, just unemotional people. Those people are people who have detached from the situation to try to give themselves some clarity to deal with what they're dealing with. And sometimes you like detach, like you just kind of sit there like a zombie state. And I'm like, is that what they meant? Like he was in a zombie state? Because when you listen to that, I'm like, where did they get this at? Like I'm listening to the tape and I'm like, he is definitely, he's destroyed.
Also, he thinks that she's, unalive to herself, which something that, like Brandy said, she had been, had emotional issues before, and the fact that she was terminal. So he's kind of got it in his head, like, this is a bad situation. I don't want to be here. I don't want to see this. But at the same time, she's threatened to do this before. So she's done this. My wife has committed suicide. So he's not thinking that someone came in here and stabbed my wife 56 times. He's thinking my wife stabbed herself to end this. So in his head, he's thinking, yes, she's dead and it's brutal and it's nasty, but it's not murder. So when they arrest him, some of the circumstantial evidence that they use, because there is zero DNA evidence that leads to Russ being the potential murderer. Of course, that's his house, so there's going to be evidence. They say that there's seminal fluid found or whatever, and they use that too because he said that they really hadn't had any relations, in a while. But it wasn't his. There was with 56 stab wounds, there should be blood everywhere. He should have blood in his hair, under his fingernails. He should have blood in his eyelashes. He had zero, none. There was no blood in the sink basin, in the pipes, in the shower. So what they said was, because they didn't find evidence of this, they didn't find any bloody clothes, nothing. They said that Russ came home and stripped naked, stabbed his wife 56 times.
Well, raped his wife.
Raped his wife. Then he stabbed her 56 times, and then he went back to his friend's house, and then he came back to call 911. Leah Askey, the district attorney, also said, because the story was corroborated by 6 of his friends, that he was at their house. I think they were playing some sort. Was it a movie night? I think it was a movie night, but it's a long-standing weekly get together for his friends. Like, this is not anything new. It wasn't out of routine. And she said that his friends conspired with him to murder his wife because he was upset that Pamela was now his wife's beneficiary of $150,000 policy. Pamela, the friend who convinced Betsy to change her beneficiary, less than a week before the murder, to her.
We have to go even back a little bit to see how devious Pam was. There was an email that was used in court that was sent from Betsy's computer, from Betsy's email, sent to Pam about how Russ tried to kill her, tried to smother her with a pillow, how he was abusive and all these things. We come to find out later that Russ, had some indiscretions. But I would think that probably this was before his wife became sick, and but Pam had done this, sent this letter. And we also have to look at the fact that this was based on some evidence by a police officer that the crime scene was full of blood and looked like he had tried to clean it up. With the luminol, you could see that he had tried to clean up the blood and then got back in his vehicle and went back to his friends. Now, they tried to test the timing, which they did get from the friend's house to the home in the correct time. But they were driving very unsafe. They were weaving in and out. They were driving on the shoulder. They were speeding, driving crazy. That was
It's
the
like
only
a
way.
30 to 45-minute drive. Like, it's not close.
That was the only way that they were able to get to the home that quickly. And now remember, they said that he took all his clothes off, raped his wife. There was very minimal sperm cells on her, meaning if he had raped her, there would be a lot of sperm to test. I mean, it would, and then the sperm they did find was just on the outside of her and not inside of her. You got to remember that too. So they arrest him. They say that he did all these things. They go to court. His daughters testify against him. His sister-in-law testifies against him. Mind you, he raised these girls, didn't have children of his own, raised these girls since they were little kids. They had the damning email that he had abused her. And, so they had everybody testify. And
Including Pam.
including
Yeah.
Pam. They go back and they come out very quickly, to the point where Leah thought that she had lost. Come to find out, he's found guilty. He goes to prison, and he's in prison for, I think, 3 to 4 years.
4 years.
When all of a sudden the lawyer receives pictures in the mail. These pictures that supposedly did not exist, were ruined, or something of the nature. When he got these pictures, he found out the prosecution had viewed these pictures over 10 times. The pictures were pictures of the crime scene where it showed that there was no blood, like they were saying. It was not blood all over the place like there was a cleanup. There was some blood. Of course, there was some blood. But when you're saying a cleanup, you were saying smears of blood everywhere.
Right.
It was not smears of blood anywhere in these pictures. So from them pictures alone, he was able to get a retrial. The lawyer wanted him to get a bench verdict this time because he didn't want to be railroaded by the jury again. They talked to one of the jurors from the last trial, and they said, "How did you come up with a guilty verdict with such sketchy? It was more questions than answers. How'd you come up with, this was circumstantial. How'd you come up with this verdict?" The person said, "Because Leah is a very trusted person in the community," meaning because Leah is so trusted and does so much for the community. If she said that he did it, he did it. So clearly this juror didn't even look at the evidence. And I'm thinking if she says this, I'm pretty sure the other jurors, for it to be so quick, were thinking the same thing. This trial was just done so quickly. And so now he finally gets the retrial. They have the judge do the verdict. The judge says that this is the most shoddy police and detective work he's ever seen. He basically just
dismisses the entire thing.
Went in on prosecution. He didn't understand how that man had went to prison with what they had. So he gets out and he is free. So now who killed Pam? Who killed Betsy? He always said it was Pam. Always said it was Pam.
Yes.
This is my thing about this whole thing. Okay, so if you've seen the movie with Renee Zellweger, if you've seen Snapped, if you've watched any footage, read any article, you can immediately turn your suspicion to Pam Hupp.
Immediately.
She was the last person to see her alive.
The last person to see her alive.
Just basic detective work would have said the last person she was with is automatically a suspect. Immediately.
Right. The person who benefits from her death, who is not a family member, why is she being named as a beneficiary? Let's look at that, because they always look at who benefits, who has insurance money.
Why? Did nobody even think of this?
This is why Pam needed that email. She needed that email to say that because Russ was so abusive and he had done these things, that she wanted to make sure that her children were taken care of in case of her death. And we knew she was going to die because she had cancer. So that's why Pam needed that email sent from Betsy's email so that she had a trail or some evidence of Betsy saying that Russ had done something to her, and the reason that she needed Pam to take control of the life insurance. Oh. Now, this is the crazy thing.
But why would she have one of her sister or her mom?
Why her though? Like, why would it be
Pam?
her?
But this is the crazy thing. Before the trial, now she was supposed to put this in a trust for the girls. A week before the trial, she puts the money into a trust. This is on the first conviction of Russ, the false conviction. A week after he was found guilty, she then removes the trust.
They never got the money.
Never got the money. So kind of the same, right after Russ gets out of prison, the girls take Pam to court to try to get the money because she says the money was for them. They were unable to get the money because it was unable to show that, there was nothing that the mom left to say that Pam wasn't the beneficiary. Here comes the trial for Russ, the second trial. Pam gets on there. Or did she say, no, was this at his trial or was this at the trial for the money? I can't remember. Pam is going to open her mouth and say the reason that Betsy put the policy in her name was because first she said because of Russ and he was abusive and she trusted her to give the money to the children. The second trial, this wench going to come out her mouth and say that Betsy was in a lesbian relationship with her. Now,
first of all, the way that you say lesbian is going to get us in trouble.
Lesbian.
It's going to get us in trouble. So, yeah.
We're always in trouble.
I'm just saying because Pam, ain't nobody said nothing about you and her being together ever before. Now, mind you, Pam had her own husband. Yeah. She had her own husband. She was not single.
But that doesn't really mean anything. Okay, listen. Me and the way my mind is that if I've known you my entire life and all of a sudden this friend comes out of nowhere and she's like super intrusive and everywhere, all of a sudden I'm gonna ask you,
what's up?
Did Betsy have time to be laid up with Pam when she was sick anyway? I never had cancer, but I've been on chemo for my lupus. And I was so worn out that I couldn't even lift my hand over my head to wash my arms and to shave my armpits. Like I was, the fatigue you feel is unreal. Not only the fatigue, you're throwing up and having diarrhea at the same time. Like it's not, you're not thinking about anything else. You're too sick. The chemo just basically comes, you do the chemo to come in to kill, and it kills everything. You ain't trying to have sex with a man, let alone trying to be laid up with Pam.
Well, okay, listen. But again, I get that. I understand. But a lesbian relationship, or let's just say a non-sexual, intimate relationship, can we say that? Because I would question, who is this person? Why are they everywhere all of a sudden? Why are they all in your business? And I get that Pam. The reason why I say Pam is evil because she's a master manipulator. She knew that she was vulnerable. And I don't think that she was friends with Betsy. I think that she saw her as a victim the entire time. Look at what she did with the charity thing that she got Betsy involved into, to raise money for another cancer patient for Christmas. These people never even knew that she was raising money. So not only did she get the $150,000, she got, excuse me, whatever money was coming from that fundraising effort. Come to find out, Pam is evil as shit. So Russ gets out of prison, and like Randy said, who the hell killed Betsy at this point? Russ didn't do it. Who killed Betsy? It's Pam. It takes them almost 10 years to arrest Pam for the murder. She was just indicted in November of 2021. This happened in 2013. December 2013.
I don't want to cut you off, but I had to go back because about them sperm cells that they found on her. I had to go back because I'm just thinking about my own situation. And he said they hadn't had a sex in a while. They didn't have sex recently, which would make sense because she was ill. Thinking that she was also ill mean that she probably wasn't bathing herself like a woman usually would, because when I tell you that you're so tired that opening your eyes is too tired, there's no way like that she would have cleaned herself up and done everything that she's supposed to do. And then I'm saying she couldn't even have sex with her husband because of her fatigue. I just don't see her laying up with Pam. Pam already seems like she is just too high maintenance of a friend. Like she's just too pushy, too everything for her to have been in a, it just keeps coming back to Pam is really pissing me off. Like the story.
She do look like a lesbian, but I mean, I don't think.
She just ugly.
No, she look like Mickey. What's her name? Mickey Rourke. What is her name? Mickey
Rourke.
Yeah,
that's what she's just ugly. I mean, I won't say
that's what she looked like. I can't. Every time I look at her, that's what I think of.
But she had two husbands. She had two husbands. I'm just saying,
girl, have you been to Texas?
She was Beyonce.
Seen the triangle women in Texas with these fine ass dudes?
I'm just saying, even if Pam looked like Beyonce, Bessie was too sick and worn out to be laid up trying to have a relationship with Pam.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, her final hours. I would question someone coming into your life.
I would question that motive. I would question why all of a sudden. I may not call lesbian, but I'm definitely going to be questioning why she's coming around so much. Like, what's the purpose? Where did she come from? You've never hung out with her before. Why all of a sudden is she coming around? Like, I would wonder that.
Yeah. Well, they knew each other. I just can't remember exactly where they had met each other, but it wasn't. I mean, hindsight, we can look at it and say, "Yeah, this woman's crazy." But I'm sure at the time they probably thought that she was a really good friend. She was very helpful. Yeah. It was a time when the family really needed a friend around. She couldn't work. I'm pretty sure that Russ was taking on as the breadwinner, and they probably looked at her as like somebody who really, along with her family members, somebody who really stepped in and helped her. But my thing is with Pam, it's really not even that the thing about them having a lesbian relationship. The thing is, you done changed your story so many times, and if we know anything, if the story keeps changing, Russ' story never changed. If we know anything from doing these stories, if the story continues to change on why you did something, a new story every time somebody asks you.
You're lying.
There is something ain't right.
It's fishy.
Something is not right. You first take the money because you didn't beat the hell.
They never, this is what I don't understand. You guys are trained, you got an attorney, even if she's brand new. Something in your gut is like, this ain't sitting right. But they never really they fixated on Russ. They were gonna convict him. They were gonna make the evidence fit instead of fitting the evidence where it goes. They were just, whatever we get, we're gonna make it work for Russ, no matter how absurd this is. Now,
and this is the other thing that was crazy about Russ. When Russ gets out, there was 2 life insurance policies that he already had that he collected to help get himself on his feet. So if there was already life insurance policies, two of them
Why would he
actually,
kill her for
what
150,000 when he
reason
had more than that coming?
what reason would he need for this new life insurance policy? He already had one for 100,000. I can't remember what the other one was for, but why this was $250,000? Why would he already had two other policies? Why would he kill her for this other policy when he already had two policies?
That he didn't even know about. So yeah. They didn't care. They didn't care. They wanted Russ and they got Russ because they knew that was going to be a conviction. Now let's move to Russ gets out. Well, no, Russ is not out yet because in 2016, something else happens. This is the reason why Pamela
No, Russ is out when that
prison.
happens. Russ is out
When
when
this
that happens.
happens?
Yes, because
Because he
they
was already
interviewed him.
Yes, I'm sorry. This happened in 2013. He was basically in jail from that time going forward.
But before that, we also have to say that no one else was brought up on charges for her death, even though Pam was a suspect because Leah stank.
Hold on, let's get to this part.
Okay.
Let's get to this part.
But Leah wasn't prosecutor by the time this happened.
No, she wasn't. But Pam wasn't indicted for the murder until 2021. And then we'll tell you why after this. So the reason why Pamela is in prison right now, outside of the indictment that came down in November of 2021, was she's still working. She's still working because they still haven't brought up any charges on her as of 2016. So for almost 4 years, she's still out there, but she's still working. She's not satisfied with the fact that they're not even looking at me at this point. She's like, no, I got to dig deeper. Pamela starts to recruit people to be victims to her next crime. Listen to what I said. She recruits people to be victims in her next crime to cover up her involvement with Betsy's murder.
Because at this point, Russ is out, Russ is pointing his finger at her.
At Pam. So there's a gnat in here, and I feel like Kevin
Me too.
Hart.
I've been fighting it and the whole time.
I feel like Kevin Hart, like it's trying to get me. So Pam comes up with this in her head that someone is attacking her and harassing her and stalking her. She tries to get this woman, Carol McAfee. There's very interesting, ironic part to Carol McAfee. She tries to get Carol McAfee to come to her house. Gonna offer her some money to come to her house to reenact the murder. She's lying.
The 911 call.
Yeah, the 911 call, the murder. There's going to be reporters there, and they want me to reenact the murder.
The Dateline.
Dateline. What was his name?
The guy from Dateline. Which guy?
Yeah, she said that she kept encountering. I can't remember his name right now.
I think sweet baby Jesus that something happened and Carol wasn't able to come to the house that day. She wasn't able to complete the task, but
she had a feeling that something went right, and so she hopped her happy cell phone out there.
She made up the story like I gotta go and mow my roof.
But what Pam didn't know is that she had a camera in front of her house, and when Pam saw that camera, she hopped her old lesbian tail back in that car.
So
kept on going.
So what she does is her next victim, his name was Louis Gumpenberger. He was physically disabled. He had an accident or something that caused his disability.
He had a record, but he had got into a really bad accident where his IQ was low. He couldn't really walk very well. His speech was very slurred. He had the body he had the mental capacity of a 12-year-old and the body of an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, so he was very vulnerable mentally and physically. Pam offers to pay him the same money, about $1,000 or something like that, to help her reenact the murder. Well, she then calls 911 and says that someone broke into her house and is trying to kill her. And so she killed him. Here's the kicker, though. how the hell did this person get to your house? She says that someone dropped him off at her house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he appeared in her doorway.
Someone
this
with
was her
dark
stalker.
hair. She didn't say who, but someone who had dark hair like Russ. Someone with really dark hair was the driver.
Yes. So what she said was, now I want to make this clear. What she said was somebody dropped somebody off at her house to kill her.
With the knife.
With the knife. How you gonna
The
kill
knife.
me and you ain't got no ride? And how is it? And how is it gonna be this guy who can't move? His mobility is affected by with his accident. How you gonna drop me off? You don't drop off somebody on the drive-by. You wait in the car. You go around the corner. So, and why would the dark-haired guy use someone who is not able-bodied to attack someone?
But at this time, the police didn't know that. But that's even the more crazy part is the man jumped out of the car in the broad daylight and went to her car as she was getting out with a knife to kill her. Broad daylight with a knife. He done dukes and hazards out the car with a knife while she's getting out of her car.
He's probably walking like Michael Myers at this point, though.
And she runs in the house and he runs after her and he's banging on the door. And as he's about, she gets her gun, she walks toward him and she shoots him. That's what she told in her interrogation, that she shoots him however many times. Then she calls the police and she's explaining what they happened and the police come. The crazy thing about that is the police noticed where the man dropped dead, there's a remnant of carpet. Because somebody didn't want to mess up their nice little rugs and floor. Now, how many times are you going to kill somebody and make sure they fall right on a remnant of carpet?
Betsy did not want to interrupt her dinner. Betsy probably had pork chops and with gravy that night. Pam, I'm sorry, Pam. Pam probably had pork chops and gravy that night. She was not trying to.
Nope.
Again, let's just talk about how evil this shit is. Like, you commit a murder, you commit another murder to cover up your involvement in that one. She is convicted of that because that shit doesn't even make any sense. So that's why she was in prison.
They find the receipt for the knife from the Dollar Tree in her trash can. The exact knife. Who's stabbing somebody with a Dollar Tree knife?
Girl, I can't cut cucumbers with a Dollar Tree knife because you know the little rivets and the thing gonna come out and the knife gonna end up looking like this. Dollar Tree knife ain't gonna do nothing. So she's convicted. Now they're suspicious as hell. So by this time, Leah Askey Cheney is no longer
change of guard.
She's not sitting on the bench. The guy who comes in after her, he ran on the ticket that he was going to reopen this murder because Leah Askey was so dogged in her determination not to look like an ass and have to take back her words and all the things that she did to Russ and his family that she refused to indict Pam. The evidence is right there. They lied about the pictures. They completely railroaded this man, and she refused to indict her. She refused to charge Pam with anything. So the new guy comes in. He reopens the case. It still takes a while, but he reopens the case, and guess what else they did? They start to look at how Pam's mom, who was in a nursing facility, jumped out of a damn window.
Jumped. She had dementia.
In a walker with 8 times the amount of Ambien in her system.
Yes, and she jumped
out the slats from the porch.
From a 3rd-story window. And died in October of 2013. Now look at the timeline. October 2013, December 2013 is when Betsy was killed. This woman was on one for real. But like Brandy said, there was like, this is one of those things that comes out of nowhere. I don't know if Pam was somewhere, taking the eyes out of squirrels like that dude in Dallas, and practicing taxidermy at 6 or any of that stuff. Like, she had like this normal child. Like, you can't go back in Pam's history and say she had a horrible childhood. This would lead to this. Pam was just, like Randy said, was greed. And I think she figured out as an insurance adjuster or whatever that
because she was committing crimes then. She was forging people's signatures back then.
She just understood how, and she
just
had
really
people in her life.
She just really, at that point, was really just trying to make sure. And the thing is, she shouldn't have done all that because they would have had less suspicion on her if she hadn't went and done this whole thing and killed Lewis and everything, planted a letter in his pocket saying that Russ wanted that $150,000 back, and then put money in his pocket. All of this to make it look like, and they weren't even looking at her for real. It was mostly Russ saying it because Leah wasn't going to pull up no charges on her.
Mm-mm.
So she just did all of this stuff and it made it look more like that she did it. Because then they would have never found out about her mama and
here's
the
the thing. She gained almost $650,000 just from insurance between Betsy and her mom. Her mom had a $500,000 policy on her. Then whatever money she got from the charity, she probably had at least $800,000. She should have been fine with her mom. She should have been fine with her mom. She would have gotten away with the whole charity scam with Betsy and not having had to kill her because she was gonna die anyway. So if you put the policy, if she put the policy in your name, just wait until she dies.
I mean, as we all know, once you get away with something, or that we've seen with criminals, once you get away with something, you're going to keep doing it because you want to continue to get away with it. And it's like, at that point, it becomes like a high or something. Like, you just need to do it. Having that much money accessible to you should have been enough.
And let me tell you how we know that Pam just got off on this. If you look at some of the footage of her in court, she has this smirk that you want to slap the shit out of her on her face. Like when she testifies against Russ, like she just knows butter won't melt in her mouth and she's going to get away with this. But here's the thing. Here's the ironic part about Carol McAfee, the first woman that she tried to get to reenact the 911 call. Carol McAfee did have a camera at her house. They could tell that was Pam in Pam's car. She was very instrumental to getting her convicted for Lewis's death. Guess what? Russ Faria and Carol McAfee got married.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? Like, you have someone who was wrongly convicted in a murder of his wife and a person who was almost murdered by the same murderer.
Relating by trauma because she already knew what possibly could have happened to her after she found out everything. Once you know that, then you automatically going with
your trauma bonded.
Y'all, it's just trauma, just bond them together. I mean, good for them.
And she, her neighbor knew Russ, and I guess somehow they were introduced. But she says he's the most kind and gentle man that she's ever met in her life, and they are married and living their life.
With that $2 million settlement that he got too. He got $2 million for a wrongful conviction settlement in 2020. So what happened was with the settlement, no, because I did 4 years. Not only did I do 4 years.
It's how they did him. Like, it's how y'all treated me. Knowing I was nothing fair. He deserved way more.
He sued the officers, which I don't know if the police officers were ever brought up, probably not, for fabricating evidence and not investigating well.
I mean, we don't know because right now they're trying to take Leah's old credentials, so we don't know. They might have went back and I didn't see anywhere where they said that, but I don't put it past them that they might have wanted to haul everybody in after.
Yeah, they're trying to get her disbarred. They're trying to get her disbarred because she is trying to absence herself from all responsibility for this. She's like, I got help. I got help from the state attorney's office. I got help. Okay, listen, you should have turned that case over to the state attorney's office when you
Mhm.
figured out that you weren't able to handle it. You should have been like, look, I just got it in my desk. I don't even got my pen situated yet. And y'all gonna hand me this? I can't do this.
Too much.
They said that she tried to get rid of the evidence, tried to destroy evidence after the fact. Like, girl,
She let those police officers and the investigators tell her, listen, just go in there and say this, present this, do this, present this, and you'll win. And she went with it because she was inexperienced. And now, like that's the reason why she failed to bring Pam up on charges, is because she never wanted to admit that she fucked up. And even today, in an article, I think it was either April or May of 2022, she's still digging deep on the fact that it's everyone else's fault. No, that happened on your watch. That was your county. That was your case.
Just saying, like, as people who just graduated, I had a friend, her sister graduated law school, and when I tell you that health is by the book for everything, I'm talking about it's thorough. She said, because I'm new out here, I don't want to make a huge mistake. She's like, plus that's something they teach you in law school, that first of going out, you are going to take on some cases that you're not ready for. And it's imperative that you do intensive and over research in order to be able to handle what it is you're being given. And I just don't understand why she was so quick to just be like, okay. Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, the law. You have to be
she wanted that
ordained or something.
conviction.
Like, you got to
She
do all
wanted
this
the conviction. I think she wanted that conviction because
It was a big story.
It was a big case. She shouldn't have gotten elected in the first damn place. But Brandy, like Brandy said, just like they convicted Russ off of her reputation in the community is probably what got her elected, not her qualification, clearly. And in a lot of cases, the DA, the actual DA, district attorney or county attorney, they very rarely try cases. It's mostly the associates who try the cases. And even in, let's just bring up a case that we haven't talked about. What was the case in Paris where the people had their kids, the 9 kids in the house, Brand?
Yeah, I can't remember their names.
That family. Okay, so the district attorney, Michael Hestrin, who was like one of my professors at when I was at the university, he actually tried the case, but I guarantee you, all of his associates were working on that case. They build the case. The DA is like, I need you to do this. They delegate. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need my best investigators here. I used to work for the public defender's office in Riverside County for maybe about 1 or 2 years, long time ago. And the way that they use the paralegals and every other piece, person on the staff to build those cases, they go in there, they've got everything prepared because everyone else has done the work. I'm not saying that they don't work, but everyone else has been delegated to do a certain job to do the work. So I don't know what kind of budget they had in that county.
Which I'm sure it's probably to keep them from being overwhelmed.
And that's why I have staff. That's why I have researchers. I need my investigators to go out. You go talk to this person. You go talk to this person. This is why again, I don't know what their budget was, but there's no way that she should have been able to go in that court unprepared like she was and listen to it and present that bullshit.
She had other lawyers helping her, and she also blamed stuff on
She
them.
blamed them.
They told me to do this or whatever. But I just feel the thing about this story that I just really felt bad for Russ. He lost his wife, he lost his children. Then he's continually being,
probably harassed
and everything because, he has to be hauled back in there because she claims that he was trying to get that money for. He just lost so much.
Even his friends that he was with that night, like I said, Leah Askey Cheney said that the friends conspired with him to kill his wife, even though she never brought charges against him. Some of his friends were doubting him as well. He may have done it. So these people that you meet with weekly for dinner and a movie or dinner and games, these are your friends. You talk about them, you talk with everything about.
Sat there with the whole time.
The whole time. And now you're doubting me. So now I lose my friends too. Like now he had no one in his corner. Her sister, of course, as family members, you're going to be like, nah, you did it. But I mean, you just want somebody convicted for the murder of your sister. But if, like you said, he lost everything. He lost pieces of his life. He's completely traumatized. And to find out your wife did not kill herself, it wasn't merciful on her part, trying to give herself mercy. It was from the greed of someone else who stabbed your wife 56 times. And another thing about the crime scene, someone who stabbed someone 56 times, they are going to have wounds because the blood gets slippery, makes the knife slippery. Did they ever test Pam? They did. They asked her about bruises that she had on her hand, and she told them something in the first couple of interviews. But it wasn't an immediate, like, we need to ask Pam as the last person who saw her. So she was easily able to explain away all of her injuries or any potential injuries that she got from the allegedly stabbing.
Well, they weren't looking at her anyway, so she could have told them.
It didn't really matter. They weren't looking at her.
They weren't even looking at her.
This is, I would caution everybody to go and watch Snapped. There's episodes of Snapped, Crime News Daily, all of the things on YouTube, all of the articles, because there's a lot, and the NBC special with what is it called? There's something about Let's Talk About Pam or something about Pam.
Yeah,
I have not watched that yet because I just don't want to see them blame Russ.
Well, Russ actually was okay with what they were doing in the movie.
I know, but I just don't want to see the actual thing of him being charged and going to. I just don't want to see Russ like that. I don't want to see that whole part of the movie where they think Russ did it, because I feel so bad for him.
That's gonna take up the bulk of it too.
But I'm glad that he found love. I mean, the girls did apologize to him in a newsreel that I saw. They were saying they lost their mother and their father. They also said that the old Leah was telling them that he did it, and they asked about Pam, and she was like, Pam didn't do it. It was absolutely him. It couldn't be anyone else. And they were young, 17, 21 at the time. And so they went along with it. But now that they're older, they're like, we lost our mother and our father. And I'm guessing that so much time has passed and so much hurt has been caused that it hasn't been repaired. But I'm hoping that, they're at least able to kind of talk it out and be in a good place, because
and like I said, Pam was just indicted for the murder of Betsy Faria in November of 2021. So we haven't gotten any updates about trial dates or anything like that, but I'm quite sure it will be highly publicized and you'll be seeing it in lots of media going forward. So we'll go ahead and end on that. Talk about the most evil person that we probably come up against, who is not. Technically, she would be a serial killer if she's convicted of her mother's murder and Betsy.
Yeah. Well, her mother's murder was changed from accidental to undetermined, so that's open.
So they can't. Yeah. So they can't go ahead and start to investigate. That Nat still bother you?
Yes, I'm really pissed.
Girl,
I don't know if y'all saw me the whole time I've been doing this.
Girl, we all live in the South, so the bugs are out here no matter what. Like there's not June bugs because it's September, but there's these bugs that keep flying around at my front door, chasing me in the house. And now we got the black crickets here in Texas too. So it's bad. We got the black crickets, and I spray everything around my doorway because I will sleep in my car.
If anything get up in here, I can promise you that's where I'm going.
I was sleeping in my car.
Jenny and Jamar are here. Jermaine works overnight, but if any bug, let me tell y'all what happened the other day really quickly about this cricket, because you got to hear about it, because if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't believe me. So I was laying on the bed, watching TV, and all of a sudden something hard just was like, blink. I was like, what was that? I look, it's a cricket. Cash is laying in the bed with me, right? Because this is our bedtime.
I got chills already.
Why did Cash beat me after dark? What?
He supposed to beat the cricket.
No,
y'all, the freak after this whole notebook. I was like, oh God! Like, and JJ was here for the week, and so he running, I'm running. So we go in the room. I'm like, JJ, I'm not sleeping in here if we don't find this cricket. So he's tearing my room up. We couldn't find it. Come to find out, it's holding on for dear life, like its little legs. not joking, dangling, holding on with two legs on the back of my mattress behind the bed headboard at the very bottom. It took me literally because we moved the bed, we shifted the mattress, look, everything, and we did not find this cricket. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "What is that?"
I don't like no crickets.
Hanging on. It was that black ones, them jet black ones. He was hanging on.
That's why the dog ran, because those are not regular crickets. Those are Texas crickets. Now, if that was a California cricket, they small, they gray, and they don't like nobody. These crickets in Texas is black. They're the size of baby kittens. They have wings and body armor.
I'll be ready to stop.
And Jenny, she just be, they just, JJ, he killed it though, obviously, but he was laughing at me. So I was like, I don't even know where he dropped from. Why did he just say ploop on my shoulder?
Listen, them crickets can have my apartment, okay? My brother lives about 5 minutes away. My mom is in walking distance. I will take a pillow and a blanket, and somebody got to come get me because I'm not sleeping. I need them to fumigate this whole place if a cricket comes in here. I'm not playing. I'm not sleeping in here. I don't care.
And we don't even want to talk about the water bugs here.
Everybody in the South, if you get up in the middle of the night,
I call them cockroaches, but people call regular ones. Them.
Flip the light on and just sit there for a second to make. If you go in the bathroom or the kitchen in the middle of the night, you flip the light on and you don't move.
Yeah, you gotta watch. You gotta see.
Especially if it just rained.
Yeah.
And it's been raining
here. That's why the crickets is coming out. And these big old
so
June
scared.
bug looking things hitting the wall. Listen.
I've been so scared.
I try to be in the house before it gets dark because the light comes on at my front door. I don't want to be nowhere around it.
They come.
I'm in the house. So if it gets dark and and don't ask me to come back outside.
I don't know if y'all remember that time I didn't sleep for a whole week because I couldn't find that cockroach that came in my house. I couldn't sleep for a whole week. I found him in the room. I'm watching TV, flew across the headboard like this. I left it. I left everything in there. I grabbed the phone, rolled over. I didn't sleep with a blanket, a pillow, or nothing. I was terrified. I just
because what they're gonna do while you sleep 3 days later is they're gonna crawl over your face.
Yeah.
They're gonna crawl over your face. That's what they do. They crawl over your face.
Okay, I can't. I have chills all over my body. I can't do it.
We talk about murder, mayhem, and everything, and bugs just make us just do it. Okay.
That's my fear that want to crawl in my mouth.
Bugs creep us out. Not the gruesome crime
murder.
scenes. We've all seen the murder, the stories that we've encountered, but bugs.
Bugs. You can have everything in the spot.
Everything. And you know which one is the worst one? Y'all don't know what I will break down and cry. It's a grasshopper. I hate grasshoppers because they jump on you and even if you do this, they just go like this.
They stick.
You can do this and it'll just stay there. So
I'm gonna go ahead and go because I can't. I can't talk about it no more. So
okay.
So y'all go ahead because I gotta sleep tonight.
We will go ahead and end this episode before Brady can't sleep. It has insomnia because we're talking about bugs. And quite frankly, I will have insomnia too. I gotta get up and go down.
Me too.
Everything I feel for now, I'm gonna be jumping.
Yeah,
because of y'all.
Everything's gonna be crawling on me. All right, so we'll go ahead and end this episode. Thank you guys for joining us when we talk about Pam. Any new episode, thing you guys want us to talk about, hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at Black Coffee Crime or at info@Black Coffee Crime, or any new information you find out about the cases that we've talked about. So we will go ahead and bid you adieu. Good night. Good week.
Please like the videos. Please like, share.
Like and subscribe, share everything. So all of that. So even hit the notification thing with the bell.
And don't be put off by the time frame. If you listen and actually watch it, I wonder if people get thinking like they ain't gonna be talking about nothing. No, literally watch it and like it.
Well, there was that one lady who was like, you guys didn't start talking about the actual case for 30 minutes. And I told her very politely, we'll skip for 30 minutes. Like go 30 minutes in. You could. So that's why we just start talking about it in the very beginning now, because that one lady was like, you guys didn't really even get to the meat of the story for 30 minutes. Well, that's what we
It was
did.
fun then too.
Talk
I think that's not
about,
fun now, but we used to say whatever.
we just say whatever for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll get to the story. But
Say
listen,
whatever.
if you don't, we try to give this disclaimer at the beginning, but if at any time anything that we say or any subject we're talking about makes you uncomfortable, click the little X in the upper right hand corner. If you got an Apple and you're on Safari, go ahead and click the X on the left, and get the hell out and come back next week, and hopefully we'll have something you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. If you don't like it, just go. But if you do like it, go ahead and like the episode, subscribe, and share, and all of that. And we'll see y'all next time. Good night.